My parents cut me off and called me cheap. After years, I struggled babysitting my sister's kids, until the truth I exposed turned their world upside down. 3 years. 3 years of sacrificing my money, my time, and my energy for them. 3 years of babysitting my sister's kids every time she and her husband decided they deserved another luxury vacation. 3 years of paying for things they should have done on their own. Paying bills, lending money, fixing their problems, because family helps family. And in those 3 years, I spent thousands trying to be a good son and a good brother. But it was never enough. No matter what I did, my parents still worshipped Jessica, the golden child, the favorite, the one who did nothing but take. She only called when she needed something, and every time my parents bent over backwards to make sure she got it. And now that I had finally said no, they were ready to cut me off, as if I were the problem. It started like it always did, with a phone call from my mother. At first, she acted like she was just checking in, but I knew better. It didn't take long for her to get to the real reason. Jessica and Mark are going on vacation, she said. Just a little trip, nothing big, but they need someone to watch the kids. And obviously, you're the best choice. She said it like it was a done deal. I was already shaking my head. Mom, I can't. I have work. Oh, stop it, Brian, she cut me off. What work? You're young. You don't have a family. You have all the time in the world. Right, because my time didn't matter to her. I wasn't married, so I didn't have any real responsibilities. I wasn't allowed to have a life of my own. I was just there to fill in the gaps when Jessica couldn't be bothered to take care of her own kids. Mom, I've been doing this for years. I'm done, I said firmly. There was silence. Then my father got on the phone. That was never a good sign. You won't help your sister after all she's done for you? It almost made me laugh. Jessica had never done a damn thing for me in her life. She never helped me move, never loaned me $1 when I needed it, never even called to check in unless she needed something. Meanwhile, I paid my parents' overdue bills, covered Jessica's sudden emergencies, and even fixed my dad's car when he didn't have the money. And somehow, I was the selfish one. Jessica said she asked you for money for the kids last month, and you barely gave her anything, my mother said. That's when I realized what this was really about. I had been taking care of my sister's kids for free for years, and then a month ago, she had the audacity to ask me for money, claiming it was for the kids. Meanwhile, she and Mark had just bought new designer bags, gone out to expensive restaurants, and were planning another vacation. I knew exactly where the money was going. Mom, Jessica, and Mark make a lot more money than I do, I said. They just waste it instead of taking care of their responsibilities. My dad scoffed. So, it's their money. If you really cared about your niece and nephew, you'd help. I felt my blood boil. I had spent thousands of dollars to help them. Thousands. I had given up weekends, canceled plans, adjusted my whole life around their needs, and it was never enough. I clenched my jaw. I said no. That's when my dad dropped the bomb. If you don't support your sister, you're not our son. For a second, I just stood there, letting the words sink in. Then something inside me cracked. I expected to feel crushed. I expected to feel betrayed. But instead, I felt relieved. I took a slow breath and said the words that would change everything. Fine. Then I guess I'm not your son. And I hung up. I knew this wasn't over. My parents weren't going to let go that easily. But for the first time in my life, I was ready. The silence after I hung up was deafening. No one called me back. No frantic texts, no guilty voicemails, nothing. For a moment, I thought maybe they finally got the message. I should have known better. The next morning, I woke up to dozens of missed calls and texts. Not just from my parents, but from my extended family, my aunt, my uncle, even my grandmother. They all said the same thing. What have you done to your mother? She's crying, Brian. Fix it. Family helps family. Don't be selfish. And then one from Jessica. Do you really think you're the victim after everything we've done for you? You're a pathetic, selfish loser. I hope it was worth it. I stared at my phone, feeling a strange mixture of anger and amusement. All they did for me? This was a joke. Jessica, who had used my parents like an ATM and treated me like free labor, was now making me out to be the bad guy. And my parents, instead of defending me, had run to the rest of the family to turn them against me. It was pathetic. I ignored the messages and went to work, trying to focus. But something in my gut told me this wasn't over. I was right. That night, my landlord called. Hey, Brian, sorry to bother you, but your dad called the office earlier. I blinked. My dad called? Why? The landlord hesitated. He said you were moving out and wanted to cancel your lease. I almost dropped my phone. What? Yeah, I figured that's why. I wanted to check with you first. I felt a wave of cold anger wash over me. My dad was trying to get me kicked out of my apartment. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. I thanked my landlord for checking first and immediately called my dad. He picked up on the second ring as if he had been expecting me. "You need to come home," he said, as if nothing had happened. I laughed bitterly. "Is that why you tried to get me kicked out? You're crazy. We're not going to let you leave your family because of a temper tantrum," he said. "Pack your things. You're moving back here to help." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They actually thought they could force me back into their house, that they could control me like they always had. Then I realized something else. They weren't just trying to get me back. They were trying to make sure I had no choice. If I lost my apartment, I'd have nowhere to go but to them. They thought they could break me. I took a deep breath. "I don't think you understand, Dad. I'm done. Done forever. You're overreacting. No, you did this. You told me I wasn't your son. You tried to ruin my life to force me back. We're done." And then, before he could say another word, I hung up on him. I blocked his number. Then I blocked my mom's. Then Jessica's. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt completely free. I thought that was the end of it, but a week later I got a message from an unexpected source, Jessica's husband, Mark. "I know you blocked Jess, but I need to talk to you. Please." I hesitated. Mark had never really liked me, and we rarely talked unless it was about Jessica. Why was he reaching out now? Curious, I called him back. He sighed. "Look, man, I just wanted to say that I understand. I know how Jessica and your parents treat you, and you're not wrong to leave." I didn't know what to say. "Then why are you texting me?" There was a long pause. Then he dropped a bomb I never saw coming. "Because I think I'm about to do the same thing." I sat there, clutching my phone. Did I hear that right? Mark, my sister's husband, was thinking of leaving? I had never seen him as anything but Jessica's spineless sidekick. He followed her around, financed her lifestyle, and never once stood up to her. Now all of a sudden he wanted to talk. "What do you mean?" I finally asked. Mark sighed. I think I'm done, Brian. I can't do this anymore. I still wasn't convinced that this wasn't a trap." "Why are you telling me this?" He hesitated. "Because I know what you've been up against. Your parents, Jessica, they always treated you like garbage, and I never said anything. I should have. I didn't answer. I kept my mouth shut because it was easier," he admitted. "But now I see it for myself. The way Jessica spends, the way she treats people, she doesn't care about anyone but herself. And her parents, they let her get away with everything." I raised an eyebrow. "So what changed?" Another pause. Then he dropped the first bombshell. "She maxed out my credit cards behind my back. All of them." I blinked. "What?" "She spent over 20 grand in 1 month. Luxury bags, spa days, first-class flights for the next trip. None of it for the kids. Then she had the audacity to ask your parents for more money. When I confronted her, I shouldn't have been surprised. That was so Jessica. But to hear it from Mark, that was new. And they gave it to her, didn't they?" I guessed. He laughed bitterly. "Of course they did. But that's not even the worst of it." I leaned forward. "Oh, this should be good." Mark took a deep breath. "Your dad pulled me aside and told me to be grateful that Jessica was spending my money." I almost choked. "Excuse me?" He said a real man provides for his family without complaining, like I'm some kind of walking purse. I shook my head. This was unbelievable. My parents had spent years drumming into me that I had to help my sister, that family takes care of family. But the second the roles were reversed, suddenly Mark was supposed to just shut up and pay. I chuckled. "Welcome to my life." Mark sighed. "I don't know what to do, man. I love my kids, but I don't know how much longer I can put up with Jessica's crap." I thought for a moment, then I asked the one question that was in the back of my mind. "Does she know you're talking to me?" Silence. Then he said no. "And if she finds out, she'll lose it." Of course she would. Jessica hated people going against her. That's when I had an idea. Something so small but so perfect. "You want to get out, right?" I said slowly. "Well, what if we both go out with a bang?" Mark hesitated. "I'm listening." And that's when I told him my plan. A plan that would destroy the golden child illusion once and for all. Mark sighed on the phone. "Okay, let's say I do this. Let's say I send them proof of what she did. Do you really think they'll believe it?" I grinned. "They might not want to, but they won't be able to ignore it. Jessica's gotten away with it for years because she's been careful. She keeps up the act, the loving daughter, the struggling mother, but if we rip the mask off, she won't be able to put it back on." Mark hesitated. "What do you want me to do?" "Go through her bank statements, find everything, every luxury charge, every ridiculous purchase, screenshot them." Make sure our parents can see exactly where their precious daughter's money is going." Mark was silent for a moment. Then I heard typing in the background. She really thought I wouldn't notice. Jesus, she spent $6,000 on a spa and another $3,000 on handbags. Are you kidding me? I chuckled. She never thought you'd leave. She thought you'd just suck it up like I did for years. Mark exhaled. Fine, I'll send it to her. But I already know what's going to happen. Not if you phrase it right, I said. Tell them you're drowning in debt because of her. That you don't know how you're going to support the kids. That you're thinking of leaving. If nothing else, they'll panic. There was a long pause. Then finally Mark said, "All right, it's sent." Now we waited. It didn't take long. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded with notifications. I checked my messages and almost laughed out loud. "Mom, Brian, what did you say to Mark?" "Jessica is in tears. Dad, call me now. Jessica, you piece of... I know this was your idea. Stay out of my life." I called Mark back. "Well, that was fast." He laughed. "Dude, she's losing her mind. She just stormed into the living room screaming at me. She tried to grab my phone and demanded to know who I was running to." I shook my head. Classic Jessica. "And what did you say?" I told her I was tired of being treated like a wallet, that I was tired of covering for her. And then, get this. She said it was my fault for not making more money. I actually burst out laughing. Oh my God, yeah. And when I didn't back down, she called your parents and started sobbing about how I was turning against her. I could practically see it in my mind, Jessica pretending to cry to my parents, knowing they'd jump to her defense. What did they say? Oh, the usual. My job as a husband is to support her. She deserves nice things. How dare I make her feel bad about how she treats herself? I rolled my eyes. And did you remind her that she stole from you? Oh, I tried. But you know how they are. They just kept saying that I should be grateful that she even lets me handle the finances. I shook my head. Unbelievable. But that was exactly what I expected. My parents would never believe the truth, no matter how much evidence we had, which meant it was time for the next part of the plan. Jessica thrived on control. She needed to make sure people saw her a certain way. Adored, innocent, perfect. So what happened when she lost that control? She imploded. Mark sighed. She's threatening to take the kids and leave if I don't start acting like a real man. I raised an eyebrow. You think she means it? He let out a dry laugh. No. She's never had to fend for herself a day in her life. She needs me. Then call her bluff, I said. Tell her to go. Pack her bags. You're enjoying this too much. I spent 5 years babysitting while she was off getting massages. Forgive me if I'm having a little fun. Mark sighed again. Fine. Let's see how she takes it. A few minutes later, I got another text message from Mark. Holy, she just threw my laptop at the wall. I grinned. Now we were getting somewhere. I stared at my phone and read Mark's message again. She just threw my laptop against the wall. I grinned. Well, that escalated quickly. Mark called me immediately. Dude, I think I just cracked her brain. I leaned back. What happened? She kept screaming about how I was ruining her life, how I was cheating on her. And I just stood there. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just told her, go ahead, leave. I grinned. And she lost it? She started throwing things. First my laptop, then her shoes, then a picture frame. She's pacing the house, calling my parents, calling her friends, trying to get someone to take her side. I could already see how this was going to go. And are they? Oh, hell no. I heard your mom on the phone trying to calm her down, but Jessica was just sobbing and saying, nobody loves me. Everyone's turning against me. I rolled my eyes. Classic guilt trip. The best part? When I asked her how she was going to leave without my money, she screamed that she'd go to your parents for support. I actually laughed out loud. Oh, this was going to be hilarious. Jessica may have been our parents' favorite, but there was one thing they hated, being financially responsible for someone else. They were willing to let me bleed for her, and they expected Mark to fund her lifestyle. But the second she turned to them for money, they would panic. And I was right. An hour later, I got another text message, this time from my mom, Brian. Your sister is in crisis. Fix this. I almost choked on my drink. Fix this? Like I was responsible for her breakdown? I ignored it. But then Mark called again, laughing hysterically. Dude, Jessica just called your parents and asked them to pay her credit card bills. I grinned. And they freaked out. I could just picture it, Jessica crying about how Mark was dumping her, expecting our parents to step in. And then they realized how expensive she really was. Mark went on, barely holding back laughter. Your dad started yelling about how she needed to live within her means and stop acting like a spoiled brat. I raised an eyebrow. He said that? The same man who told me I was not his son for not giving her money? Yep. The second his wallet was on the line, everything changed. It was poetic justice. The golden child was suddenly too expensive to maintain, and our parents hated her. Then Mark said something that almost made me drop my phone. Jessica just ran out of the house screaming that she was coming to your apartment. I sat up. She what? Less than 20 minutes later, there was a loud banging outside my apartment. I already knew who it was. I took my time opening the door. When I finally did, there was Jessica. Mascara streaked down her face, breathing heavily, eyes wild. You did this, she hissed. I leaned against the doorframe. Did what? Stop being your babysitter, refuse to pay for your vacation, remind Mark he's not your personal bank? She gritted her teeth. You turned my own husband against me. I laughed. No, you did that. I just helped him see the truth. Her hands clenched into fists. Mom and Dad are mad at me. Oh, you mean because you expected them to cover your nonsense? Welcome to my world. She looked as if she wanted to slap me. You ruined everything. No, Jessica, you did. I crossed my arms. So why are you here? She stared at me, then took a deep breath. I need you to fix this. I blinked. Fix what? Talk to Mark. Make him stay. I actually laughed. No. Her face twisted in anger. You're my brother. You're supposed to help me. I shook my head. I have helped, for years, but you never appreciated it. You treated me like garbage while our parents worshipped you. Now, for the first time, you have to deal with the consequences of your own actions. She just stood there, shaking. Then, in the softest voice I'd ever heard her use, she whispered, I don't know what to do. For a brief second, I saw something I'd never seen before. Real fear. Jessica had never been alone. She always had someone to clean up her messes. First our parents, then Mark, then me. And now she had no one. I took a slow breath, figure it out. Then I slammed the door in her face. Jessica stood outside my door for a long time after I closed it in her face. I could hear her breathing, shifting from foot to foot, probably waiting for me to open it again. I didn't. Finally, she left, and that was the last time I spoke to her. Mark left her, not right away, but within a month. The bank statements, the credit card debt, the total lack of remorse. He had finally seen her for what she was. She tried every trick in the book to keep him, crying, yelling, threatening to take the kids and ruin his life. But Mark was done. He got a lawyer, filed for divorce, and fought for custody. And the crazy thing? He won. Jessica had no job, no savings, no responsibility. When the court saw how much money she had burned through while neglecting her children, they gave Mark primary custody. She got visitation, but her lavish lifestyle, gone. She tried to move back in with our parents, but they weren't as welcoming as she expected. You see, they were furious with her. Not because of how she treated me or how she destroyed her marriage, no. They were angry because she expected them to pay for her mess. My dad flat out refused to pay her debt. My mother tried to be sympathetic at first, but even she grew tired of Jessica's constant begging for help. They still loved her more than they ever loved me. But for the first time, they saw her as a burden instead of their perfect daughter. Jessica finally had to get a real job. Last I heard, she was working in a retail store, miserable and bitter, still blaming everyone but herself for how things had turned out. My parents contacted me several times after everything happened. At first, it was the usual guilt trip. We're a family, Brian. You can't just cut us off. You're being ridiculous. Jessica is struggling. You need to step up. You don't really mean that. Let's put this behind us. I ignored them. Then came the anger. Fine. If you want to be selfish, stay out of our lives. Jessica was right. You're just a bitter, jealous loser. You'll regret this one day. No, I wouldn't. I changed my number, moved apartments, and never looked back. It's been 2 years since I cut her off, and you know what? I have never been happier. For the first time in my life, I'm spending money on myself. No more paying other people's bills, no more babysitting, no more guilt-tripping myself into sacrificing everything for a family that never appreciated me. I have real friends now, people who respect me, people who don't treat me like a walking ATM or a free babysitter. And my family? They're nothing more than a story I tell sometimes. Jessica is struggling. My parents are still trying to work out their issues, and Mark, he's doing great. His kids are happy. He's rebuilding his life. And me? I don't care what happens to them. I spent years breaking my back for people who never gave a damn about me, and now they can figure it out for themselves.